This is the drive home with TT for the Millwall drive home. Driving home from the Priestfield Stadium, home of the Gills. Gillingham, where it finished. Gillingham 1, Millwall 2. Another pre-season friendly out the way with. Good run out for the Lions. The good thing about being in Gillingham is you get a decent suntan because they can't afford a roof or a stand for that matter. But overall, I'm driving away from the stadium pretty happy with what I've seen. Some small things that we need to work on that are a little bit of cause for concern. But like I said, overall, I'm pretty happy. We'll go through the starting lineup where we had Frank Fielding, our only grown-up goalkeeper. Thought he'd done well today, actually. The only goal we conceded was from a penalty, and he dives the wrong way, so absolutely no blame can be taken for the penalty. He's made a couple of decent stops, you know, a couple of one-on-ones where he's closed the gap really quickly. He made one really good save that I can remember. The only thing slightly that concerns me is calling for crosses, because that's where we look most vulnerable, is balls into the box, which we shouldn't be, because we've got height in the team. We should not look vulnerable from that kind of position, but we do, and that's the only slight thing I'd say, and that might stem from Frank, because he's got to own everything that comes in and around that 6-yard box. But otherwise, other than that, I thought he done all right. So we'll move on to the right back, Marlon Romeo. Again, offensively, Marlon looks to get forwards. He didn't have his best game defensively, but I felt he was stronger than Fergie as left back. He didn't, you know, he looks a little bit worried, I've got to be honest, sometimes defensively. He's obviously got pace. Pace bails him out of a lot of situations and he can get back in, but occasionally he does find himself out of position. For that reason, I'll give him a 6. We'll move on to the centre-back pairing of Jake Cooper and Alex Pearce. Now, both of them, I felt, had a good game. We held a high line today, and I don't know whether that's something we're going to do more in the future, relying upon the pace of Marlon maybe to cover in behind. But they, like I said, they cleared everything that they needed to clear. Gillingham played the ball around really well. They had a little interplay in and around the edge of our box, which kind of calls on our central midfielders to deal with rather than the centre-backs. They won a lot in the air, but I also felt, given their size, they lost too many challenges. Now, Gillingham had a trialist up front who looked a handful, to be honest. He's probably someone that we might want to look at. Cooper, obviously, from the goal. In the second half, a corner from Connor Mahoney, which we're probably going to have a few times this season, I should imagine. Connor Mahoney hits it to the back post and Jake Cooper smashes the ball in, and he's so dangerous from corners, you know, obviously assists and goals. So I'll give both of them, to be honest. I thought both of them played well. I'll give both of them 7. We move on to the left back, Shane Ferguson. Again, going forward, the same as Marlon at right back. Going forward, he looks his strongest. Neither of them look like defence is their strong point, and it does leave us vulnerable. He worked really well with Skalak, actually, Fergie, and that could be something that's positive for the future. The fact that they both were able to play football. They were both able to get in the right positions, get in the right places. So, like I said, I'll give Ferguson also a 6. Now we move into the midfield. Right midfield was Connor Mahoney. Mahoney was right midfield. Skalak was left midfield. Connor Mahoney looks a really, really good signing, I've got to be honest. And what I love more than anything is he runs at players. He runs at the defence. He puts them under pressure, and no defender likes players running at them with pace and skill. His delivery was excellent from the corner, and he looks like our full-time set-piece taker. I think he's probably my man of the match, although it's quite difficult. I thought there were a few good performances, but he excites me. You know, we've got obviously Jed Wallace that normally plays right midfield. Mahoney and Skalak swapped wings, which we do a lot at the Den, but I was really impressed with Mahoney again, so I'll give Mahoney an 8. Yuri Skalak also looks at playing at left midfield or right midfield. Like I said, they switched, and he played the majority of the game, Skalak. I felt he worked really hard. He looks fit, which is a big thing. He tracks back, he assists with defending, which we're going to need. His crossing today was good, I thought. And again, it's another player that likes to run at players. But you can't go through most of this video without mentioning what an absolutely brilliant goal he scored, because it was a cracking through ball by Ryan Leonard. I think it was Ryan Leonard. Over his right hand shoulder, he's bounced a couple of times and he's caught it so sweetly off the outside of his laces, cut across the ball, and it just smashed past the goalkeeper, who had a decent game, their goalkeeper, made a few good stops. But it was an absolutely fabulous goal, and for that reason I'll also give Yuri Skalak an 8. I thought he struggled last year and I didn't think that he'd be able to make an impression on this team, but I'll hold my hands up, he impressed me today. We then move into the central midfield, where we had Ryan Leonard and Sean Williams. Now, I know Leonard has a lot of people criticise Ryan Leonard, but I thought he was excellent today. I don't necessarily see what people see in him in terms of so negatively. I think that he plays the ball around well, he's strong on the ball, he's direct. There was one bit in the second half where he's run right through the middle of Gillingham, you know, got in on the goalkeeper who's come out well and stopped it. But he doesn't give, in my opinion, doesn't give the ball away cheaply. He's strong in the tackle, and for that reason I'll give him 7. And when you compare that to our other central midfielder today, in Sean Williams, I think Sean Williams was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. It was a horrible performance from Sean. He looked completely off the boil, gave the ball away so many times, was bullied off the ball easily. Nearly every time he got the ball, I thought we're going to lose it, which is not really what he's known for. He's normally known for doing those little passes either side. It just looked someone that wasn't at the races today, and it was disappointing to watch, and was by far the weak link in our team, because I felt we were strong all over the park, but Williams just did not look there today, and for that reason I'm going to give him a 3, and I could give him no more than that. And then up front we had Aidan O'Brien and Matt Smith. Matt Smith played the first half. In the second half, Smith came off for Budvarsson, so I'll talk about all 3 of them, because those were the 3 that played up front. Aidan looks good when he's running on the ball. He's got so much, you know, skill and dribbling ability, just doesn't put it to practice enough. He ran off the back of Budvarsson more than better, I felt, than he did off the back of Smith. He created a chance for himself, well, in the second half, where Budvarsson's nodded it down to him, and I think he's got to try to hit it the top of the goal. He's put it at saving height for the goalkeeper. It was a good strike from Aidan, but the keeper's made a good save from it. But I didn't see enough from Aidan today for me to be completely happy with him playing up front. Is he better as a left midfielder? I always think that he can play striker, maybe in behind the striker. So I had Budvarsson up front and have Aidan sitting in behind him, working in the edge of that D. But today I didn't think really done enough. So for that reason I'll give him a 6. Matt Smith, I saw something earlier where Matt Smith, his head's going to be caved in at the end of our pre-season, and he does get the ball up to him so often. You know, we do play direct. He won a lot of balls in, and what I like about Smith is the balls aren't flicked onto nothing. There's aim, there's a bit of precision with what he's trying to do. The ball on the floor, when you compare him to the other big striker that we've got in Elliott, who on the floor is awful, Matt Smith looks like he can play football. He looks like he can pass that ball around. You know, he was spreading it wide once, getting the ball, sometimes brought it down. I was impressed with his first half. He had a header again on target, was well saved. So for that reason, I'll give Matt Smith a 7. And then we'll move on to John Daddy Budvarsson. I liked what I saw of him. You know, he put himself about really well. He worked hard. I know he only played one half, but he worked hard. He looks like he's one of these... He looked a little bit Gregory-esque, if I can say that, because he, like I said, his work rate was excellent, and his interplay with Aidan was really good. He brought Connor Mahoney into the game, he brought Leonard into the game, and I really was impressed with the first time that I've seen him in a Millwall shirt. And for that reason, even though he only played a half, I'll give Budvarsson a 7. In the second half, like I said, I've covered most of the changes. Danny McNamara come on at right back, Marlon for Fergie, and Marlon went to left back. I thought I really like McNamara. He's someone that gets. He seems to like more the defensive side of the game, but he's still wanting to get forwards. He looks quite strong on the ball. I know it's a thing about Harris says it a lot, but he's a Millwall type player, Danny McNamara, and I like that. He's impressed me every time I've seen him. Whether he can handle the pace and the strength of players in the Championship, we're not to know. But I want him to be in and around the squad, and I hope he manages to be at least on the bench for that first game against Preston in a couple of weeks' time. Billy Mitchell came on for a little bit, didn't really have too much to do. Again, he's someone that I want to be in and around the squad. His composure, didn't really see much of it today. Like I said, he broke up a couple of their bits of forward line play, but it wasn't on the pitch for very long. And the same with Tyler Burry, who came on for about 5 minutes at the end, didn't really have much of an impact on the game. Overall, like I said, I'm happy with the way we look like we're trying to play football in and around. Yes, we're still direct, but the interplay with the midfielder and the strikers looks a little bit closer this year than it did last year. My concern, as I said earlier, is certainly the defence. Now, earlier I saw a Millwall fan, and I've absolutely forgotten his name, but he works in a butcher's, and it's the meeting place. There's two of them, the meeting place in Palmwood, I think it is, and in Welling. Millwall Butchers. If you want some meat, get it from them. And I think his son's name's Tom. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But yeah, it was really nice. And he said I look like younger in real life. Now that's a very clever idea, because I always like people complimenting me. Obviously, the camera makes me look older than I actually am. But we've got Southend on Wednesday, which I'll be going to, and then our first pre-season home game against Real Sociedad on Saturday. Zach, who's your man of the match?
It was very hard because some players done really well, but at some points they messed up a little bit.
Yeah.
So Leonard done really well because he barely messed up, and I think Leonard deserves man of the match.
Man of the match, okay, Ryan Leonard. Well, like I said, I thought that he worked really well today. That's it. That's the thing. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We're up to 1,100 subscribers, which I never thought I'd ever get in a million years. Put your comments in below. Tell me if you were at the game who you thought was the man of the match. If not, I'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you for watching. Come on, you Lions.